Hello beautiful souls, welcome to Tap Into Your Magic with me, Heather. I'm really excited to bring you this video today because it's going to be a bit different from what I usually post on this channel, which is EFT and yoga videos. Although I do have Healing the Witch Wound EFT tapping, and I also have a Yin Yoga for Healing the Witch Wound, so if you want to do more somatic based practices, you can find it in my description below. But this is really about what the witch wound is and the 5 main witch wounds that I have discovered personally, and also how to heal it. Okay, so let's dive into healing the witch wound and why is it important. All of us, especially those who have heritage in the UK or Western and Northern Europe, will have ancestors that experience the witch trials. The witch wound is important because it's not just this, oh, what is it always like witches and magic. Really, it's to do with epigenetics, if you want to look at it from a more scientific point of view. But it is this belief, and I guess actual truth, that our ancestors, especially in the 1600s when there was witch trials, all throughout the UK, Europe, America, were women especially, and also men, but mainly women, were accused of being witches, and they were murdered, they were tortured, and it was a very scary time to be alive because everyone was accusing you, your friends were accusing you to save themselves, to save their families. And because of times like this, where, to be honest, witches were just the scapegoats because society at that time was struggling. They were, especially in America, in Springfield, the time where, you know, a lot of immigrants had moved over and they were struggling and suffering. There was no food, there was bad weather, so the harvests were bad. And when people are starving and when people are angry and when people don't know what the answer is, they turn to a scapegoat to blame somebody for the reason why something has happened. And the scapegoat for that were witches, and were mainly women. And also, this was a way of the patriarchy, or I guess the church, shall I say, of gaining land too. They would blame a lot of women who were either unmarried and claimed land from their family, or perhaps their husband had passed away and left them land. They would claim that these single women were witches and doing bad things as a way for them to get rid of them and to claim the land for themselves. And obviously that's the history, but nowadays we use the word witch, and at least in the circles that I run in, it is not a bad word to use. Sometimes it can be an empowering word to use, which is amazing that, strangely enough, 500 years later, we're honouring the word witch. However, I'm just going to bring it back to the witch wound and why it's important right now. You might have heard of epigenetics, and this is trauma and things that we inherit from our ancestors, and some of it we're aware of, some of it we're not, because obviously we have ancestors that we don't know anything about, and it can often be a reason why perhaps you're interested in something. A lot of the times you might really love poetry, and then you find out your great-grandmother was a poet, or a lot of people who were adopted who don't even know their birth parents will have some secret fear or secret skill, and they can actually link it back to an ancestor, a blooded ancestor. And this book I was reading recently, called Inherited Fate, I really recommend it. I just picked this up at a bookstore because I really want to learn about this, and this was pretty much what this sort of witch wound is. It's a lot of different stories from a psychologist of finding out that a lot of her clients had these fears, sabotage, a lot of these problems, but that can be traced back to their family and to their ancestors, and the witch wound almost works like that as well. And the reason why it's important to work with it is because we have a lot of memories from our ancestors that have been coded into our DNA, and I truly believe it's our responsibility to heal that, or at least bring it into awareness so that we can heal it. If we're aware of it, we can actually change it. And in this video, I want to take you through the 5 main witch wounds that I personally address. There are plenty more, but these are the most common ones, and I'll explain a little bit about what these are and how you can heal them. So let's begin. The first witch wound that I see coming up a lot, and it's also talked about a lot online, is the sisterhood wound. And this is to do with our fear, especially as women, to have female friends. And the reason why is because during the witch trials, a lot of friends would turn on each other. They would have a knock at the door and they would say, name me a witch or your child dies. And obviously you have to just name your neighbour, name your friend, because you want to save yourself. Unfortunately, a lot of the times they would take their friend and take that person as well. And it's obvious that if you look at the women, look at the statistics of people that were killed in the witch trials, and the majority are women. So women really do struggle with this, and I feel like we still do now to an extent. It's why a lot of women can be jealous of each other, or we struggle with what is a female friendship. I mean, we have some amazing movies of Sisterhood, but then we also have a lot of movies that just depict female friendships as shallow and vain, and people are competing, and that for me is the sisterhood wound. It is any wound within you where you almost have a fear or some sort of hatred or anxiety towards friendships with females because of maybe bad past experiences. But this needs to be addressed, because when women come together, especially in women's circles, it is so magical and so healing. And I'm so grateful that throughout my life I've had incredible female friendships that have been very nurturing, that have been very honest and very open, and you know, there's nothing like it. So if you are struggling with this sisterhood wound, like I said, it could be to do with your ancestors, obviously, but also a way to heal this is to consider the female friendships that you currently have and ask yourselves, how do you feel in that friendship? Do you feel safe? Are you also a safe house for that person as well? This is also not just about looking at other people, placing blame on someone else, but also having a look at yourself and saying, are you a great friend to have? Or perhaps if not, why is it that you tend to talk about people behind the back or compete against others or judge others? And the sisterhood wound is one that I feel like once it's healed and once you're able to be in communion with women, especially going to women's circles and actively meeting women with an open mind and open heart, then your sisterhood wound can be healed. But it starts with you deciding what kind of friends you are and what kind of friends you'd like to surround yourself by, and knowing that those people are seeking you. Because I know for me in my late 20s, a lot of my friends don't live in the city I'm in, and it can feel very lonely. You know, your late 20s can get very lonely unless it's like work colleagues. Friendship is not something that we think about a lot in society. We don't put it as the main priority, but it gives us so much happiness and love. And so that's like one way you can heal the sisterhood wound, is through deciding in your friendships right now whether those friends are for you, and you can decide to let them go. And then what do you want to create space for? What kind of friends would you like, female friends would you like in your life? What are the attributes, the values, and get clear on that. We've spent a lot of time thinking about who we want to date, but our friends are almost there longer than some romantic relationships. And yeah, let me know what your experience is with the sisterhood wound. Have you had a hard time with female friendships? Another thing you can do as well, if social media is something that you use, and maybe this can be one of the reasons you compete or get jealous, is to drop a comment on a person's video that you compare yourself to. Be kind, support a woman, buy something from a woman-owned store, especially if it's not somebody with your ethnicity. I always think, you know, expand your horizon. How can you support women in all different communities? Because women, when we stand together, we make the world a better place. The second wound that I see a lot with the witch wound is the fear of being seen and being acknowledged in a way. And so many of us fear being seen that it can affect the way that we show up in the world. Maybe you want to dress up but you choose not to because you think, oh, I don't want to be seen, I don't want people to look at me. And almost you go through life wanting to be invisible because it feels easier, it feels safer, but you know deep down that's not you. And obviously this can come from the witch wound, because if you were seen to be dressed a little bit different, acting a little bit different, you would be accused of being a witch and thus burned at the stake or drowned or whatever horrible things they had. And it can affect your whole life when you try to hide away, when you don't post the video you say you're going to post, or put the song out, or write the book, because you're afraid of being seen, and also afraid of being vulnerable, and afraid to be seen. It's not the same as being yourself. That is another wound, but this is the one about can you walk in public, can you walk into a coffee shop, walk into the shops and feel safe with people looking at you and opening up to that energy in a safe way. So ways that you can heal this fear of being seen is to wear the outfit you said you're always going to wear in public and see that nothing bad happens, and change the story. Or maybe it's looking at people in the eye more and smiling, or starting a conversation and not being afraid to be visible. And this could also be online as well. That's also another world that we have. Maybe it is posting that video or that reel or that TikTok thing that you said you want to do, and not being afraid to be seen, because this is about being open and comfortable with you taking up space. And this leads me to the third wound, which is fear of your own power. A lot of times we're afraid to be seen because we're afraid of the power, and we're not afraid of our weaknesses. A lot of the time we're afraid of, well, what happens if I shine too brightly? If I have this power, what will that mean? And so of course a lot of the power goes into the men's or the patriarchy hands and not women's, because we don't feel like we can handle it. We can't handle power, and we have a very bad relationship with it. And so a way to heal this is to be open to stepping into your power, to taking responsibility, and also exploring this idea of, if you did have power, what would you do with it? Because often we want to give it away. If you were suddenly power, because money is power, you were suddenly given £1 million, what would you do with it? Would you give it all the way to charity because you can't handle it? But what if you used your power and invested it for good, but also you grew your own profits too? Because I think we're afraid of accepting power because we think we can't handle it. Which leads me to another witch wound, which is self-sabotage. That is another witch wound that a lot of us carry. It's our ability to have something and then we sabotage it and we let it go because our ancestors were taught, hey, if you've got this, it's not safe to have it, you've got to let it go, this isn't for you, this is not, you can't have that. And all of us have probably sabotaged at some point in our life, but sometimes it can be so sneaky we don't even realise that we've done that until later on in life. And really the way to be honest with yourself and to heal this self-sabotage wound is to ask yourself, the questions of, okay, what is it? Is it the fear of success? Is it the fear of failure? What is the fear behind the sabotage? What do I think is going to happen if I have good things, if I have the power, if I have the confidence? What do I think is going to happen? And can you rewrite the narrative to tell yourself, if you have this, it can be amazing? Even if you have a fear of success, maybe you're scared, okay, if I get successful, then it would change my, the people I'm around, and people would judge me more, and my family will want more money from me. How can you change the narrative to say, well, I've got boundaries. I've got boundaries. That is something that we struggle with as people, as women as well. How can I have more healthier boundaries, and knowing that if that did happen, that good thing happened to me, I can handle it? And one thing I always use and I always advocate is EFT tapping. This has been the most powerful tool that I've used, which is what this channel's really for, to help you to let go of those thoughts, those beliefs that are so deeply ingrained, so that you don't sabotage. And it's completely changed my life. There's so many things I'm just thinking about now where I completely would have sabotaged it if it wasn't for tapping. And so if there might be a video on this channel, if you check it out, that might be catered for you to stop you sabotaging. And the last wound, which is kind of two in one, is the fear of being yourself. And I think this really links to the fear of being a woman, being in your feminine energy as well. A lot of the times we shape-shift who we are to fit into this world. Maybe we try and be more polite and silly and woo, when that's not us, because we think that's what this world needs. And there's so many women, I'm not surprised, that go undiagnosed autistic or ADHD, because all the studies were done really for boys. And so many people that I know have had to mask who they are their whole lives because they were told it's not safe to be you, it's not safe to be like this, it's not safe to be weird and strange. And I spent pretty much my whole high school hiding who I was, being quiet. I'm not a quiet person. I mean, I'm not loud, but I decided it was better to suppress who I was because I was getting bullied. And it's only until I discovered really acting and stepping into that world that I've become more myself, and I'm so grateful for that. But there was a whole point in my life which I just shut my whole personality down and tried to change myself to be likable, to be palatable, to be normal. And if you're still struggling with this, I'm sending you so much love, and you can get out of it. You can find a way to get back to yourself. The best way, I always say, is to go back to what your inner child loved to do, whether it was painting or drawing or dancing, and bring that spark back, because that's your true essence, who you were when you were 5 years old. That is you. You couldn't be anything else other than that. It can be hard, obviously, if you've had a bad childhood, but even despite that, there will be some things that you can find from your childhood that you loved that can help you connect to who you are, to being yourself, because the world needs you. We don't need more AI robots that are all gonna act the same. And do you know what? I feel like these AI things are trained on neurotypicals anyway. So please, if you've got some neurospicy in you, or you feel like you're a little bit different from everyone, we want to see that. We need more of that in the world. That's where the creativity lies, and the inventions and the magic lies. So those are the 5 witch wounds, and I would love to know which one you resonated most with in this video. I also have a Tap Into Your Magic membership. I'm running a 5-week course. This is $11 a month. You can find it in the description below. And I'm uploading videos to do with all of these wounds. So we're going to do EFT tapping as well as journal prompts to help to heal the witch wound. So that is in the link in my description. Those will be uploaded in November. If you're watching this video at a later point in life, it might have been also uploaded into a course in the future. So just have a look at the description at whatever time if you'd like to, really dive deep into each of these areas with EFT tapping, because I'm really excited to be bringing this to the membership. We've already done ancestral healing, and we have done confidence, living your dream life, and so many different things that we've covered. But this time around, because it is Scorpio season and it's like that dark night energy, I just think bringing this to the surface feels like the right time. It feels like the right time. And I want us to end the year feeling like, okay, I have healed this and I'm ready. Although I never want to ever make you believe that you need to heal in order to be loved. That's not true. You're already amazing as you are. These are just things that you can do alongside whatever you're already doing to help you. But I just want you to know that it's not about this. The goal of Tap Into Your Magic is not to get yourself completely healed and then you're like, now I'm ready for the world. Because as soon as you go into the world and you meet people and you have different experiences, you're gonna collectively collect more things and come across things about yourself that you don't like, or things that you're shocked by. But that's life, and I love that. We're never going to be completely healed, and that should never be the goal. It's about the adventure and how you can adapt and grow through it. And I'm here for you, so thank you so much for watching this video and sending you lots of love. And if you would like to, like I said, the book Inherited Fate, there's also a Heal the Witch Wound book, which I really love. I'll link them down below too. And happy November and happy Halloween.